G'day, ZiggyD here. Patch 2.0.5 released for Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls today, and in this video I want to give you guys a super TLDR version of the patch, going over just the very most important points. Now, there are a lot of class and balance changes overall. Crusader was buffed especially. There were a few buffs across all of the classes, and a few changes to some of the skills, making some things more powerful, and some small nerfs. You know, the usual sort of jazz. If you're very interested in your specific class, then you should actually check out the patch notes and see what applies to your build. But overall, the main changes were actually that a lot of the elements were shifted around on skills. So you may jump in game and notice that your fire skill is now a physical skill, or your physical skill is now a cold skill, and things like that. The overall implications of this haven't really set in yet. It'll take a couple weeks for people to really work out solid builds based on these new changes, but it is something that I think is pretty good for the long-term health of the game. Blizzard have been keeping an eye on these different builds and things and skill sets and combinations that haven't been used together, because with the new elemental scaling affixes on gear, it's very important to select a bunch of skills that all have the same elemental type if you want to deal maximized damage. So the changes of these things are kind of in line with that, and hopefully helping to promote a bit more build diversity in the future. Too early to say yet everything that's going to happen with that. So the only other thing I want to touch on is for the Demon Hunter, the awareness passive has been changed. This is a pretty big one. Awareness previously gave you 6% chance increased dodge chance. 6% increased dodge chance per second, increasing up to 100%. Now, this worked fantastically with Pride's Fall. I used it in my bursty Demon Hunter build to maintain the Pride's Fall effect, but it no longer does that at all. It's been completely redesigned. Now it increases your armor by 30% of your dexterity, so this is a flat buff to armor based on 30% of your total dexterity. Now, this is very powerful if you're playing something like a Grenadier spec, something that is taking damage often. This will give you a really big boost in mitigation, especially if you're also scaling your armor through the percentage armor scaling in Paragon points. However, that said, it's not very helpful for most of the Demon Hunter builds that are popular at the moment, like Cluster Arrow builds, you know, Denetta's builds, you know, the fast-moving, not getting hit very often Demon Hunter meta that is currently prevalent does not really benefit from this at all. But if you're playing hardcore, if you're playing some sort of tanky different spec, then you may want to investigate the passive. I myself have switched over to using Ambush instead of it, or Tactical Advantage if I'm doing like speed runs of bounties and things like that, in the place of Awareness, which was a very nice passive. I'm a bit sad that it changed, but I guess they wanted to take something away from the dominant meta and give something to the less dominant meta, which in the end promotes diversity, and I'm all for that. Surprisingly, no Cluster Arrow loaded for bear changes. I was expecting the fire Cluster Arrow loaded for bear to be changed for physical, and that we would have to switch to cluster bombs, and then physical builds will start using Cluster Arrow loaded for bear, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But this may be Blizzard thinking one step ahead here, because I've heard that with the new Marauders set changes, which I'll cover in a second, physical spells, physical skills may be a little bit overpowered since the spec is very powerful. So Marauders was changed to make sure that the sentries now fire their hatred spenders much more often. So I've heard this is very powerful. Unfortunately, I don't have a Marauder set yet to test myself, but I've heard great things about it. The pet sizes have also been reduced overall, so that they're now colliding less with each other and spend more time attacking enemy mobs. This should also mean that if you're using something like a Cloak of the Gar Wolf, your third wolf probably won't derp around as much as he used to. So pretty nice changes overall, and the Marauders set overall has got a pretty big buff. I talk more about the Demon Hunter side of things because I know more about the Demon Hunter side of things. Apologies to all you other classes. If you have something significant you think out of this patch for your class, leave it in the comments below for other people to check out, and for myself to learn from as well. Anyway, the next important change is that apparently the bounty rewards have been lowered for the Clear the Hell Rift bounty in Act 4. Now, as you guys will know, I have a video for gold farming based on this particular bounty. Basically, you do it in Torment 6, you do Clear the Hell Rift level 2, and you get a lot of gold, like 12 million gold per hour or 8 million gold per hour, depending on your gearing level. And apparently, it sounds like that's changed, but I actually tested it, and the gold drop hasn't changed. What they have actually reduced, though, is the XP. So people using it to power level and to power level Paragon points, it's a bit less effective now. It went from something like 85 million to 60 something million. So a bit of a decrease there in the XP efficiency. Gold's still the same, but an undocumented change in this patch and there have been a few undocumented changes as always, is that elites will now spawn in both of the Clear the Hell Rift zones. So whereas previously this was a really good zone for farming because elites would never spawn there, it was always super safe and fast to do on Torment 6, elites will now spawn. So I think that's a pretty effective nerf to the farming run, to the gold farming run, because even though it still gives the same amount of gold, you won't always get an elite there, but when you do, it slows you down by a few minutes, and some people probably won't even be able to do Torment 6 with an elite pack spawning there, because they get a lot more difficult. So either you want to do that on a lower difficulty and take a bit of a gold penalty, or do it on Torment 6 and run the risk of getting an elite and having it be a little bit slower and possibly even getting killed and losing some gold. So do that one at your own risk. But this ties into the next change. Gold find on items will now stack multiplicatively with gold find bonuses provided from the in-game difficulty. So this means that effectively you're getting a lot more gold now if you have gold find on your gear. Significantly more. A big buff. Now this is kind of... these two things go hand in hand because we've lost the most effective gold farming run in the game. It's still there, but it's not as good as it was. Now, if you want to be getting gold, I think it's actually important to start thinking about building a gold finding set if you're someone who doesn't already have a big stash of gold. And even myself, with my 30 million gold supply dwindling very quickly, I'm considering about starting to put together a bit of a gold finding set, or at least trying to get some incidental secondary gold find on my gear and, you know, equipping my follower with some gold find. It'll make a big difference to your actual gold drops. It also means that the runs where you're getting gold are going to be more normal sort of farming runs, just killing stuff and breaking scenery to get gold, because that's where you're going to get that gold. The gold find bonuses from gear doesn't affect bounties and things like that, so you're going to actually have to kill stuff. But a pretty interesting shift in meta, probably a good thing overall, rather than just doing Clear the Hell Rift for gold. We're now you know, promoting to actually tapping into this whole gold find mechanic and building another set and, you know, doing different farming runs for that. So pretty interesting stuff overall. Here's where we get into the real meat of the changes. The loot drop changes. So in addition to the gold find changes, we have Heraldric caches now have an increased chance to drop legendary items from Torment 2 to 6. So whereas before you would just do Heraldric caches on normal to do them as quickly as possible, you now have a decision between doing them on normal or Torment 2 plus. Don't do them anywhere in between, really. There's no reason to do bounties in between those two zones. Like, sure, you get a buff drop rate on the actual mobs you kill, but the bounty bags are all about farming those bounty bags. This means if you've been farming for your Ring of Royal Grandeur and you otherwise have a pretty well geared character, you may want to consider doing Torment 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you can do efficiently to really maximize the chance of legendary drop rate. It should be in line with the Rift drop rate increases from difficulty as well, but I haven't seen any actual data on that. So consider farming higher difficulties for Heraldric caches. I think this is a good change overall. It promotes a bit more diversity in bounty farming. You're not just doing normal bounty runs now. And let's face it, normal split bounties can get a little bit boring after a while. So next up we have Nephilim Rifts have increased the number of blood shards that drop from the Guardians between Torments 2 and 6. Now based on my experiences today farming some Torment 3, it seems to have moved up from about 50 to 55 blood shards on average from killing a Rift Guardian to somewhere between 50 and 70, you know, 50 and 75, something like that. They actually drop in multiple piles now, so you'll get one normal pile and then two other little piles. You'll get like 5 and 10 or 5 and 10 again. And as you move up through the difficulties, I've heard of people getting almost 150 from the Guardians in Torment 6. So this is a pretty cool change, another incentive to farm high difficulties. I'm all over it, I love it, perfect changes. And it also means going to support that gambling as well. And then moving into this, Kadala can now actually give you Torment-only legendaries. You can now gamble for your Marauders set. You can gamble for any of your Torment-only set items. Can't gamble for the potions, which I still need a potion, but you'll have to just wait for that to drop. But you can actually gamble on pretty much most legendaries in the game now. So in addition to increasing the blood shards dropped, blood shards from Heraldric caches have also been slightly increased. Blood shards from rifts increased dramatically. You now have an extra way of actually, you know, really doing something towards getting your set. So I'm pretty excited. As soon as I get my Harrington Waistguard, I'm going to be going for my Marauder set. Thanks to Kadala, she's getting much more generous. Many less paperweights, hopefully, and many more Marauder sets. Some other minor changes to know are that Malthael will now drop his Reaper's Wraps anytime you're killing over level 60, as long as you don't have the set plan already. So if you've been having trouble getting it, I know a few people have been bugged and had to do like a full campaign reset, you can just go kill him now and you're good to go. You'll get the set plan. It should work straight away, so that's a good change overall. Blacksmiths also no longer require white items now in their crafting. I'm a bit sad about this. I thought it was a cool mechanic that you had to, like, if you wanted to craft a pair of legendary braces, you had to go get a pair of normal legendary braces and then basically combine magic into them, infuse them into this legendary item. I thought it was cool. People are happy in general, though, it seems, because it means more stash space. You don't need to hoard all your white items anymore. Salvage them all, get your white materials. You only need white materials now. You don't need the white actual armor that the item is based on, or the actual white weapon. I know some people have been crafting legendary shields, will be especially happy about those, because I know it's ridiculously hard to get those white shields. So, GG Blizzard. All my guides about how to find white items efficiently are now pretty much mean nothing, but whatever. Thanks anyway. But overall, it's probably a good change, even though I think it's a little bit sad because I liked the idea of getting those white items. But in practice, it does free up an extra stash tab. I just wish they gave us an extra stash tab instead. Give us one more. There's space there right below. I can see the space. They're probably saving it for the next expansion pack, I bet. Next up, this is another one. This was an undocumented change. Well, this is the final change I'm going to cover in this TLDR video. Elusive Reboots, which come from the Act 2 bounties, are now super freaking OP. Yes, they now break Waller's walls. I want these boots. Oh man, Wallers are the worst thing as a demon hunter. When you get a bunch, like a champ pack, a blue pack, just chucking walls on top of you and just like boxing you in, you can't do anything. The Illusory Boots, you can just walk through them like they're nothing. Illusory Boots are so freaking good now. This was undocumented change right here. So I'm going to be farming for those. Oh yes, oh yeah. Illusory Boots, rocking it. So, farm for those Illusory Boots. Have fun in the higher difficulties, farming the different stuff now, and maybe playing around with some different specs after the class changes. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If there's anything else you want to ask about, or any comments you have based on the patch, your thoughts on it, let me know in the comments below. That's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.